Hello everybody and welcome back to Lord of the Rings Online Warden Edition. In this episode I will be showing you guys how to play a Warden in group play. I'm here with my friend School at Samir Dane. This episode is going to be a little bit different where it's going to be post-commentary instead of live commentary. Because like I said, I'm doing this with my friend. So I'm going to have my friend run in there really quickly to draw aggro from those two enemies. And I'm going to be using a skill called Exaltation of Battle. This is a multi-target morale task that targets up to, I think, seven enemies, I think, for about 700, or maybe it's 10 enemies for about 700 damage, which gives you back 700 HP. So you take 700 for them and it gives you about 700 HP. So multiply that by 10, you got 7,000 HP, just like, you know, that for every 4 seconds for 21 seconds, I believe it is. So it does its job pretty good. You're gonna see me using that a lot because this was a terrible tanking job. I'm not gonna lie. I did pretty bad. Well, it's not that I did pretty bad. It's more like I chose a terrible instance to show you, but it's also a great instance because of the fact the white hand leaders tend to take your gambit builders away from you, and as a warden does, that's a no-go. That's very bad for you. You'll notice that I won't be able to use quick thrust every now and then, or I won't be able to use warden's taunt, so I won't be able to use any aggro drawing skills or any healing skills. That's definitely going to happen a lot, and I also get knocked out a lot. And when you get knocked out as a tank, you lose aggro until you're back awake. So my friend's going to come very close to death many times because of the fact that I get knocked out. But that's why I chose this, to show you what it's like, how you have to tank in instances where you can't do your job ideally, but you can still do it through just tactics and strategy. You'll also be noticing that I'll be using a lot of Preserve, Maddening Strike, Safeguard, Celebration of Skill, Dance of War, Impressive Flourish, War Cry, and there's a couple others that I can't think of. I'll be explaining what those are throughout when I use them. So you'll notice when I use them, I don't use them correctly. The way you're supposed to use them is you're supposed to use them in order, in order to the gambit line. Let's talk about Preserve. The Preserve gambit line, what a gambit line is when you use a skill like I said, Preserve, which is shield, spear, and then you just repeat that gambit. Shield, spear, shield. Shield, spear, shield, spear. So it'd be Preserve, Safeguard, and then Celebration of Skill. Now, if you use them in order like that, such as War Cry, Maddening Strike, Impressive Flourish, Maddening Strike, and then Dance of War, the third one, such as Dance of War or Celebration of Skill, is improved upon by the first two. You have to use them in order. You'll be getting these skills as you level up, and you'll find that out as you level up, but that's just something I just want to say really quickly. But unfortunately, I was recording this gameplay around, I don't know, it was like 12 o'clock. I was in the morning. It was around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I was extremely tired, so I didn't really use my gambits in order like I was supposed to. But I did realize it at the end when I was fighting the boss. I was like, oh, I should really be using, but so you're gonna have to, if you know about that, you're going to have to deal with, just put up with it for now. I'm sorry. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to aggro everybody along the sides. This is a great way for a warden to practice tanking. Why? Because you have so many enemies, and I don't know why I dropped off there, because I aggroed the mini-boss. That was a bad idea. I don't know why I did that. But anyways, you have so many enemies to practice your morale taps. And then once you use your morale tap on all of them, you're just like, alright, yeah, I'm good. I can just sit here and do nothing. But you can't. You can just sit there and do nothing. And then when you run out of morale tap, build up another one and, start it. So I'm going to use my morale tap right here because I have about, plenty of enemies there. So then I'm going to use it one more time, but I lose my quick thrust, so I can't do anything. So I tried to just do a Brink of Victory, and then I get knocked out. Terrible start. Just do a Brink of Victory really quickly, just so that I can get my blocking up. But I'm going to use Resolution right there to get back the health that I lost before I used Exaltation of Battle. Yeah, see, now that's what I was talking about last episode. My friend is using an impressive strategy called kiting. It's not that impressive. He's just gonna run in circles until they can't, until I'm back up and able to aggro everybody. That's what kiting is, just running in big circles so that they can't harm you. And he's gonna do the same thing right here. I seriously thought he was dead. I was like, oh, what a way to start, man. But this is basically how it's gonna happen for a few minutes. I do get control of the situation over time. But like I said, you want to use your gambits in order of the gambit line. So the first in the gambit line, the second in the gambit line, then the third or fourth in the gambit line. You can do either the third or the fourth, and it will improve the effect of either one, depending on which one you use. But you do have to use them in order of the gambit line. But I seriously thought I was dead right here, but I decided to use, Resolution, Fierce Resolution, I think it was? No, just Resolution. And then Exaltation of Battle, just so I can get that morale tap going. And this, again, kiting. Very, very endlessly useful. Doesn't take much skill, but it's just so useful. At that point, I was like, okay, I have enough health. I used Goad right there to get a potency effect. To tell you what a potency effect is, if you look at the bottom right hand of my skill bar, I have Desolation on my shift dash. I have that there because of the fact that I used Goad, and like I said, it gives me a potency effect. Potency activates your battle memory. Your battle memory remembers the last gambit that you used. Unfortunately, the last gambit that I used when I had gotten that potency effect earlier was Desolation. I wanted to use Exaltation of Battle so that I could have a morale tap just on standby just like that, and not have to worry about bidding it up. You get that around level 50, I think, somewhere around that level. But to get potency, you have to use a gambit like Death Strike, Defensive Strike, and Goad. You have to use one of those 3 gambits. One of your first 3 gambits once you get the battle memory ability. I'm sorry if you heard that. I just kicked my desk. Ow. But yeah, about right here is where I start to gain control of the situation. Just so far, I've just been scrambling for health and not dying and not letting my friend die. But about right here is when I start using my buffs so I can stay alive. But that's the main thing as a Warden. As a Warden, when you're tanking, you want to use your buffs, because that's what keeps you alive. A Warden is not like a Guardian where they can just sit there and take damage. And another thing that a lot of people don't really realize is that a Warden needs to draw aggro over time. So if you're in a party with a Warden and you're a DPS or a healer, give the Warden just a few minutes to use a couple gambits to draw aggro and then go in and do your job. That's something old Wardens hate, is when people are used to Guardian tanking where they have skills where they can aggro instantly and they're just sitting there, they're trying to draw aggro, and then somebody like a hunter, level 100 hunter, uses a AoE skill that draws everybody off the Warden because he has yet to draw full aggro because he has to build up his gambits. And then the hunter just sits there like, you suck at tanking, like, oh, give me a few minutes. That's what you have to do with the Warden. Let them know how long, ask them like, how long do you think you're going to need to draw aggro? They'll tell you like, oh, give me like 15-20 seconds maybe. Or tell them, I'll give you about 15 seconds to draw aggro. If they're a good Warden, that'll be plenty to draw aggro, and then let them know that then you're going to go in and do your damage over time. So yes, that's something that everybody needs to know about a Warden. Give them a few minutes to draw aggro. Well, I shouldn't say a few minutes, but like 15-20 seconds should be plenty. But something else everybody needs to understand about a Warden is that, like I said earlier, they are not like a Guardian where they can just sit there and take it. They need to build up their buffs. They need to build up their block rating, their evade rating, and their parry rating through older skills. That is why older skills are there, to build them up. You have to do that as a Warden. I notice a lot of people as a Warden just sit there and use Exaltation of Battle, Resolution, and Fierce Resolve to heal themselves when they're fighting a large enemy, large groups of enemies. Or when they're fighting single enemies, they'll use the Preserve Gambit line, which is good. The Preserve Gambit line when you're fighting single target enemies is what you want to use, but you also want to use all the others. That is very important for a Warden's gameplay. You'll notice a cut there because we actually left the instance so we can go take care of a few things. There's a bird, I'm sorry. Oh my god. This is like the 3rd episode in a row, I think, that we've had a bird. Holy goodness. What is this madness? If it's the same bird too, man, I don't know, because I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, back to, I digress. Back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh. Yes, you want to use your other skills such as Impressive Flourish Gambit line or the Warcry Gambit line, because you cannot take damage as a Warden. Well, you can if you're going to keep using Exaltation of Battle, which is a good strategy if you don't know how to tank properly. If you're just starting out, you're not comfortable, you know, somebody asks you for help and you want to, or maybe you just want to do an instance with a friend, and you're not comfortable tanking, use Exaltation of Battle like that. You know, just keep using it over and over again if there's large groups of enemies. Or the Preserve line if there's large group, or if you're fighting a single target enemy, like a boss. It's endlessly useful for if you're just starting out, and it is a viable strategy if you're not comfortable tanking. But over time, you need to be able to use your skills that add buffs in the middle. This is how I like to think about it. I like to go in there with Exaltation of Battle. Draw the aggro. Then I use Resolution so that I can build my health back up to max, and then have Exaltation of Battle healing me over time so it can keep it at max. So then I have my healing down. I'm full health and I'll remain that way for 21 seconds. So I have 21 seconds to build up my buffs. I like to use Preserve Gambit line in order, and then by the time I'm done with that Gambit line, I have to use Exaltation of Battle again. And then after the second time I use Exaltation of Battle, I'll get a potency effect using Defensive Strike. That way I am able to use Exaltation of Battle one more time, so that way I can get back at full health again. Not Resolution this time, Exaltation of Battle. So this would be the 3rd time I use Exaltation of Battle, get back up to full health again with it, and then I have it on my battle memory. And then I just do buffs again with the Impressive Flourish line, and then Preserve line, and then just whatever line I feel like I should be doing at that time. Warcry is a great Gambit line to use. But then when I run out of my Exaltation Battle runs out, I just use my battle memory. I don't have to build up my Gambit anymore. So that's a great way to do it. I like to do that. So healing, buffs, battle memory, healing, buffs, battle memory, just kind of like that. And even if you're great tank, your buffs are all going, your healing is all going, you can start using your spear Gambit lines to do damage. That's something you can do. So it can be healing, buffs, damage. You know, that's a very viable option as well. So it's absolutely great if you want to do that. So there's one thing that you should remember though, is to use your Gambits in order. Don't mix them up like I am here. This was a terrible tank job by me. I used Brink Victory. I used Warcry, then I used Brink Victory, and then I used Precision Strike. Yes, you don't want to do that. You want to use Warcry, Brink Victories, and Surety of Death in that order. It cannot be Brink Victory, Warcry, Surety of Death. You have to use the first Gambit line, then the first Gambit of the Gambit line, then the second of the Gambit line, and then the third. And I was right there when my friend used that, I'm like, dude, no, like the particle effects just slowed me down like crazy. Oh, I do apologize for that. I was having some really bad frame rate issues, some really bad internet issues. Nobody was awake. It was, like I said, it was 12 o'clock in the morning, so I don't understand why I was so lagging. You notice that I'm getting down to low health, and I'm not really worried about it. That's because I have a skill that you get around level 40, level 50. I got it in Moria, so I don't know which level. It might have been level 60. Called Never Surrender. that skill, once you drop down below 10% morale, or 15% morale, excuse me, you recover about 50 or 60% morale and about 40 or 50% power, which is extremely useful for a Warden. So that's something that you do want to remember. That skill is always great. I like to use it, well, the way it's meant to be used, as a last resort. But I don't have very many enemies here, so I can't really do Exaltation of Battle very much. So what am I doing? I'm doing Resolution to get my health to full health, because there are enough enemies to do that. If you have one enemy, that's still great, because it gives you about 1,000 health per enemy, so it's extremely useful either way. So for my morale tap, when there are few enemies, use the Preserve Gambit line. Shield Spear. Preserve, and then Safeguard, and then instead of doing Celebration of Skill, which would be the third in the Gambit line, use the fourth one, which is Restoration. You'll be seeing me use that against the boss in a couple of minutes. That heals about 1,000 right off the bat, and then about 900 to 800 every couple of minutes, or every few seconds. So that is endlessly useful as a Warden if you're fighting a tank. The Preserve Gambit is your main healing gambit when you're fighting a boss. Did I say tank earlier? I think I did. I meant boss. When you're fighting a boss, the Preserve Gambit line is your main healing. I just used Preserve. Or actually, no, I didn't. Oh! That's something I want to get into. You saw me use Safeguard. That is not really part of any Gambit line. Neither is Shield Tactics. Those are not Safeguard. I apologize. Safeguard is part of the Warcry Gambit line. I apologize. I meant Shield Mastery and Shield Tactics. Those are not really part of any specific Gambit line. They're kind of their own separate Gambit. Shield Mastery ups your parry, your block, and your evade by 1,700. Well, actually, that's good. I think it's 1,776. That is a lot. And what's great is that it ups it for 1 minute and 10 seconds. Normally your buffs last for 20 seconds. Approximately. Some last for 40. But normally it's about 20 seconds for all your buffs. 1 minute and 10 seconds for 1,776 in improvement, a stat improvement. That's really good. Shield Tactics increases your critical defense by, I don't know the number for Shield Tactics. It's somewhere up close to 1,700, 1,700. But it only lasts for about 20 or 40 seconds, so it's not as long as Shield Mastery. 20 to 40 seconds, I'm not too sure, somewhere around that area. I was going to edit this out, but something funny happened, and you'll be seeing that in a couple of minutes. You'll notice that I'm taking these guys slowly, and I'm not really preparing for a big group. Excuse me. I'm not really looking to fight a big group. This is what happens. So I draw this guy, and I'm only gonna fight him. I'm gonna kill him really quickly. I'm not gonna bother building up my buffs or anything, because I'm not gonna fight a big group, right? Well, my friend decides to lay that down in the background and draw everybody. I was like, what did you do? So now I have to aggro everybody off of him. I have to get my buffs going. I have to get my power back up, because you notice how low my power is for fighting a single target. That's the thing about fighting a single target, though, is that when you do, the gambits for that single target cost a lot of power. Not nearly as much as fighting many targets. Mainly because you're fighting to stay alive when you're fighting a single target. When you're fighting multiple targets, you just have your area of morale tap going. But yes, you notice this is a great example of what to do when you're struggling. I decided to use Resolution there because my friend said he had somebody on him. I was going to use Exaltation of Battle, but Resolution was a better... yes, this is where I was getting the internet lag. Resolution was a better aggro drawing skill for that instance right there, because of the fact he had one guy on him. Why am I using impressive... voice crack. Impressive flourish. Oh, okay, I was using my shield tactics right there. I'm just struggling to stay alive. I'm struggling for power right here. I don't know why I used Spear Virtue. That was a mistake, I think, on my part. But I decided to use I just decided to throw my buffs in there just right off the bat, and I decided to go for the strongest buffs instead of building up from the first gambit to the second to the third. I decided to go straight for the strongest buffs because I was in some serious trouble. I messed up my gambit line right there trying to get an exaltation of battle going, and this is what you want to do when you are struggling. You want to use your buffs and just heal. You notice that I got my power down. That was a noob mistake. A lot of wardens will let their power get extremely low. That was a bad mistake on my part. I should not have let that happen. How do you prevent this? By using your gambits sparingly when you can, or using the Dark Before Dawn, which I am about to use, I believe. I'm gonna build it up when I get power, I think. But the Dark Before Dawn restores, it does 1,100 damage approximately to 1,300 damage. Now, the quotes I'm giving you are for my level and for my setup specifically. Somebody might be level 88 with the same armor but trait differently and only get, instead of 1,700 block rating, 1,600 block rating from Shield Mastery. It's completely old, just ups my setup. I guess I didn't use... Oh, that was funny. I'm sitting there and I'm like, out of everybody he drew, he did not draw the two closest to the boss. Are you serious? I was so mad right there. I was like, why? You couldn't have at least drawn them as well. You drew everybody else. And actually thinking about it, it would have made it easier because I would have more targets for my morale tap. So I tell him, just lay down a rune right there so you can draw them away from the boss. I'll just go up, aggro them, and then run back. That way I'm not next to the boss. Which is exactly what I do. Exaltation Battle, get him off his rune. And then run away. Like a little chicken. And, oh, hold on, I have a sneeze coming on. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I had a massive sneeze right there. So I do apologize. But yeah, I was just so like, really, everybody came except for those two. But I just decided to just do spear gambit lines and then my precise blow gambit lines because just kill them quickly because there are no more enemies my friend can go and aggro. You know. So I was like, whatever, I'll just kill these guys quickly. But yes, this is a great instance to practice with. I would recommend doing it if you're new to tanking. When you get it, I would recommend doing it about 3 levels below you. If you're not comfortable tanking. If you're not comfortable using with your gambits yet, do it about 3 or 4 levels below you. That way the enemies still do a little damage, but it's not like you're pressured because they are the same level as you. So, it's a great way to practice learning your gambits. And I'm sorry, I kicked my desk again. I do apologize. I'm gonna break my toe by the end of this video. I'm telling you. Anyways, so this is School at Thermodine. It is a scalable instance, which means that you can choose the level it is. And you notice that's the skill I was talking about, Restoration. You see how it's shield, spear, shield, spear, shield. That is a great single target. It's not a morale tap, but it is a heal over time. This is something I want to get out of the way. A lot of people never really explained this to me because I was new to MMORPGs when I first started playing this. I had no clue what it meant, and I was too embarrassed to ask when I was starting out. And when you see somebody type in the chat box, use your HOTs. Don't do AoEs, don't do DOTs. It's not hot, it's not AO, and it's not dot. It's heal over time, area of effect, and then damage over time. Wardens are infamous for their bleeds. I'm not using too many bleeds right now because of the fact that I'm spec'd for a tank, not a damage over time player. But when you're fighting a boss like this, it's always great to use Restoration every now and then. So I use it right there just so that I can get a potency effect and then not have to worry about it. Then this is when I realized I should really be building up my gambits in order. Not using them all mixed up. So that's what I did right there. You can rewind and watch that when I say gambit line. When I started with Preserve and then went forward from that, that was a gambit line. I don't think I did it for Dance of War, but this is how you want to fight a tank or a boss. You want to, there's a bleed right there. You can go back and rewind and watch that. You can spec for greater bleeds, and so is that one. But anyways, you want to heal yourself using restoration, and then just buff. Buff. That is another heal, but that is actually a party heal. You can actually heal multiple targets with that, if they are in range. And again, I do apologize that my power gets so low. It is a noob mistake, but I realize it here, and I decide to use the Dark Before Dawn. Yeah, I messed up right there. Got Wall of Steel. The Dark Before Dawn. That is exactly what I've been talking about, and I decided to just spam it just so I can get my power way back up there. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing for the rest of this fight. It's just using my buffs, using my healing, and because of the fact that my friend is level 80 and these guys are level 88 at my level, I'm also going to be using a lot of damage dealing skills because my friend doesn't do much damage. So I just kind of had him here just so that I can show you, you know, what it's like kind of as a group play. I guess I could have done it solo, but then I wouldn't have had the struggle of trying to keep them off my friend, you know. Especially at the beginning. That was one of the biggest reasons I needed him to have him run in, and then to just show you what I mean when I say draw aggro. In the beginning, he had aggro, then I had aggro. That's basically what aggro is. But I was doing pretty well trying to balance between keeping myself alive and just killing this guy quickly. It wasn't too bad. But the great thing about morale taps is that they do so much damage. Surety of Death does so much damage and gives you great buffs. But yes, that is how you want to tank a boss. Healing, buff, and, you know, if you're soloing it kind of like I am, then damage. So I wanted to say, I'm sorry that it took so long to get up. I have been sick, and I've been talking like this quite a bit. So I didn't want to do that, talking into this video. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching. That is the final episode of my Warden mini series. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, like, leave a comment. I'll be back with more gaming content. I don't know what to be my next one. So thank you and farewell. Well, hold on. Before we end off the video, I should probably show you guys the Gambit lines, actually. I have them all in order of the Gambit line itself, not when you unlock them, but you can see when you do unlock them. At the top left, I have the Preserve Gambit line, which would be Preserve, Safeguard, Celebration of Skill, and then Restoration. That's what I mean when I say you need to use the Gambit lines in order, or the Gambits in the Gambit lines in order. You gotta use Preserve first, then Safeguard, and then either Restoration or Celebration of Skill. And that's the same thing for the one on the right, which is the Impressive Flourish Gambit line, and the one on the bottom left, which is the Warcry Gambit line. I will not be showing you guys the Gambit build for the Gambit lines because I want you to be able to figure that out for yourself over time. That's the greatest way to practice being a Warden. On the right, bottom right, not the very bottom right, middle bottom right? I don't know. I guess you can say that's the Fierce Resolve Gambit line. Those are the ones that you'll be probably using the most. You can see when you unlock those, but the very bottom right, I could not figure out what level you unlock Shield Mastery. I looked it up online, I couldn't figure it out in game. It was just, I'm so sorry. I think it's a trait thing and not a level thing. I could be wrong though, I don't know. Shield Tactic you unlock at level 68, and Resounding Challenge you unlock at level 80. I did not show that skill off. I do apologize, but that's probably the one that draws the most aggro. That is his entire job, to draw aggro. It's a great skill if you want to use it. But yeah, you unlock it at level 80, unfortunately. So I think that'll be the end of this. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all really did enjoy, and I will be talking to you guys later.